Hi, I'm a recovering addict named Steve. This is On Life's Terms adaptation of the Narcotics Anonymous book, Sponsorship. Note to listener, this book frequently changes from narrative to first-person quotes. When the focus changes, you will hear this tone. This installment is Chapter 2, Part 2. How do we know if someone has what we want? Narcotics Anonymous has no strict guidelines for selecting a sponsor. However, we may want to keep in mind some basic qualities. One of those is finding someone we relate to and who has what we want. Many members look for a sponsor they feel will accept and respect them, no matter what they share. Some members just want a guide through the steps, while others try to find a sponsor who will be their companion and friend. What we seek in sponsor in early recovery may be different from what we look for in later recovery. It is important to ask ourselves not only what we want in our life in recovery, but also what we feel we need. As with any other element of our recovery, we can always look to our higher power for help in making a decision. I don't want a sponsor who has what I want. I want a sponsor who has what I have and knows how to live with it. For some, a potential sponsor's relationship to the program is the most significant consideration. They look for someone who attends meetings, participates in service, works the steps, has a sponsor, and is committed to the program. Finding a sponsor with more clean time is also important to many people. Those who are new to the program, in particular, should probably seek a more seasoned member as a sponsor, unless there are no such members in their community. In addition to looking at what people do for their recovery, we might also consider other personal qualities. A number of members look first and foremost for a sponsor who is honest and open-minded and who has integrity. For some, it is more important to find someone friendly and available who is respectful and trustworthy. Others explain that finding someone who is fun is as important as anything else. A list of considerations could go on, and of course, no one person will have all of these qualities. Because our sponsor is human, he or she will have both assets and defects. We may find someone who has only one or none of these qualities, but who is nevertheless the perfect sponsor for us. How we determine exactly what characteristics we feel are necessary is completely up to us. Some of us may want someone who gives firm direction, for example, while others may look for someone who will let us skin our own knees. When we are new, many of us simply ask the person who makes us feel most welcome. Choosing a sponsor is our own decision. I once approached finding a sponsor with a laundry list of issues that I wanted my sponsor to address. I wanted someone whose views of the program were similar to mine. I wanted someone who had dealt with some of the same issues I had. I wanted someone who was gay like me. I wanted someone who had more clean time than me, etc., etc., etc. While these expectations didn't appear to be unreasonable, I was unable to find anyone who met them. After several months, I met a guy in a meeting, and without even learning about him, asked him to be my sponsor. As it happened, he met each and every one of my predetermined needs. It was yet another instance when God's plan was better than mine. I just had to get out of the way. I would watch people because sometimes what they say doesn't match with how they live. I was so afraid of being rejected that I kept a list of 3 people I could ask just in case one of them rejected me. The guy I finally asked had a gray beard and looked like I thought sponsors should. He had something that I liked. When I asked him to be my sponsor, he said he would ask his sponsor to see if he should sponsor me. I do the same thing today whenever someone asks me to be their sponsor. I am hard enough on myself, and so for me, the most important thing has always been to find a sponsor who was kind. For the first 10 years of my recovery, I could not find someone who fit all of the ideals on my sponsor wish list. There simply weren't enough men in my area with more clean time, emotional stability, and a good sense of humor. The one man I knew who fit that description was, ironically, already my sponsee. So I had to decide what was most important to me and compromise. Examining our personal motives for considering someone as a sponsor is also a good idea. When many of us arrive at the doors of NA, we are broken physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and often in dire financial need. As newcomers to the NA program, we may find ourselves attracted to other members because of their possessions or the way they look. We may view their money, property, and prestige as a measurement of their status and success in recovery. We may not yet fully grasp that the NA program is an inside job, and its rewards have more to do with spiritual growth and peace of mind than lifestyle or possessions. My first sponsor had a new car, dressed well, and had a great house. I thought she would show me how to get these things. Instead, she led me to the steps and an awakening of my spirit. I was looking for someone who had what I wanted: the most jewelry, the nicest car, and the most women. I found out later that I should get a sponsor who had what I needed: acceptance. Some members have had difficult relationship experiences with family, friends, employers, lovers, and other members of society before getting clean. Sometimes feelings such as defensiveness, neediness, or desperation may make us wary of repeating past mistakes, or may encourage us to develop new relationships that seem just like the old ones we are used to. When choosing a sponsor, we may not be able to identify what kind of sponsorship relationship is going to be best for our recovery. My first sponsor was very strict, and I thought this would make it easier for me to get some discipline in my life, like the little child who does the right thing because he is scared of his parents. Actually, that was the way I was brought up, and I was accustomed to being abused and forced to prove myself. This relationship lasted 2 encounters, and I ended up crying in my home group, feeling broken in pieces because of his severe criticism and control. I felt rejected. The truth is that when I was new, I wanted a sponsor so that people would leave me alone about getting one. The woman I asked was, in many ways, the exact opposite of me, and that's what I thought I should want. She was 5 feet tall and blonde and always smiling. She was dating a doctor on whom I had a small crush. Her hair never seemed to be out of place, and she was very determined, which I liked. And she had more than 5 years, but didn't treat me like an idiot. The problem was that we were so different, neither of us really learned to understand the other. Her most used line with me was an exasperated, "I'm trying to understand you. I'm really trying." But she never could, and I don't remember her ever mentioning a step to me, though she gave me a lot of good nuts and bolts suggestions, more than I knew at the time. Getting a sponsor can be one of the most important commitments we will make in our recovery. We need to make every effort to look within ourselves, no matter how difficult it may be, to maintain objectivity. Of course, because this choice is so personal and our membership so diverse, some considerations may not be as important to us as others are. On the other hand, we might feel that certain character traits, which are not mentioned here, are crucial. Regardless, it is important to remember a sponsor is a human being who can make mistakes. The impulse to put sponsors, especially people who sponsor lots of other people, on pedestals profoundly isolates those members. The first time I asked an old-timer what it's like to have lots of clean time, he said, "Lonely." I actually chose my sponsor because she shared about being human and making mistakes, and I thought that this meant she would be kind to me if I was not perfect. Her daughter was in active addiction, and my sponsor's obsessive struggles to manage her often meant that she was not emotionally available to me, or that she would not return my phone calls when I wanted her to. I learned to rely on other people for support at these times because she was the one who I wanted to sponsor me. Although she was imperfect, sometimes crazy, as far as I was concerned, she was kind and loving, and that was what I needed. Many of us find it helpful to have a sense of our own expectations for the sponsorship relationship and to be direct about these expectations when we ask someone to be our sponsor. For those of us who are new to the program, this may be difficult. It may take us some time in the program to develop this kind of understanding. Nonetheless, if as a new member we need more time and attention from a sponsor, we have to learn to ask. We may want to talk to potential sponsors about whether we can call them late at night if we get the desire to use, and what their expectations are if we do use. Will they still sponsor us? Those of us with an established clean time also have to ask for what we need. If we are looking for help with a working step or understanding a tradition, dealing with a service position, or coping with a particular life situation, we can discuss these needs with a potential sponsor. When I asked my current sponsor if she was willing to sponsor me, I talked to her about confidentiality. She is best friends with my boss, and I needed to know that I could talk to her about work in confidence, and that she would be comfortable with that. She told me her expectations as well, and let me know that just because she sponsored me, that didn't mean we would be best buddies. As it turns out, we have become good friends, despite her disclaimer. By learning to take risks and move through our fear, we can develop the ability to express our needs. This is a skill that we can use in all of our relationships as we grow in recovery. Our experience has shown, while most members of our fellowship can agree on many aspects of sponsorship, NA as a whole has no opinion on a number of controversial issues related to sponsorship. Our individual members, however, often develop strong beliefs and in many cases feel there is a right way to approach sponsorship. Nonetheless, it is important that we, as a fellowship, do not make any one particular group of members feel left out or put forth the idea that one method of practicing the principle of sponsorship is better than another method. More than one sponsor. Most of our members feel that it is important to have only one sponsor. These members find that having one sponsor helps them to keep it simple and to minimize the risk of shopping for answers. One sponsor is like the single point of decision and accountability explained in the fifth concept. Some members, however, have had success with more than one sponsor. Sometimes special circumstances, such as service work, illness, or divorce, motivate members to seek out someone with similar experience to sponsor or guide them, in addition to their long-standing sponsor. I wasn't supposed to have two sponsors, but I ended up in that position for a week, and it was so confusing. They both wanted me to do exact opposite things. One wanted me to continue with step 4, and the other wanted me to restart step 1. Having two sponsors was confusing at times, but really helped me to decide how honest I was going to be, what I thought, believed, felt, what was important, honesty, integrity, living with principles, etc. At first, I had back doors with each. If one tried to confront me on some defect and I wasn't ready, I'd hide behind, "Oh, I'm doing a bit on that with my other sponsor." I paid the price. I was slower to see myself, but I think the unfolding was in God's time. I learned so much from having two sponsors that I can only say it's been very positive. I got a sponsor before I even got clean. She brought me to meetings and I began to work the steps to the best of my ability. As soon as I got clean, I became very interested in service, but my sponsor had no experience in this area, so I got a service sponsor who helped guide me in that area of my program. By the time I had 3 months clean, I had 4 time-consuming service positions. I was overwhelmed and wanted to quit everything. My service sponsor really helped. She gave firm direction that once I made a commitment, I had to fulfill it or find a replacement. I did find a replacement for one of my positions, but I completed the other commitments. This experience really helped me to develop into the person I am today. Neither of these women sponsors me today, but I am friends with both of them, and I am extremely grateful for the guidance they gave me in different areas. When I first got clean, I had an NA sponsor plus an AA sponsor. Soon, what I was hearing from my AA sponsor did not mix with what I was learning from the NA program. Shortly, I dropped the AA sponsor and only used my NA sponsor. The lesson I learned was that if I want to learn carpentry, I need to talk with a carpenter. If I want to learn how to fix cars, then I need to talk to a mechanic. If I want to learn how to live the NA program, then I need an NA sponsor. Temporary sponsorship. In some regions, a practice called temporary or interim sponsorship is common, particularly for those new to the program. In fact, sometimes institutions require their clients to get an interim sponsor. A temporary or interim sponsor is someone who can work with us until we find a person we are comfortable asking to be our sponsor. We can also ask someone to be a temporary sponsor when we have a circumstance that causes our sponsor to be unavailable for a period of time. If, for example, our sponsor is ill or we have had to relocate for a short period of time. Though this practice is popular in some regions, however, it is frowned upon in others. Some members feel strongly that seeking a temporary sponsor indicates a lack of commitment or a reservation. This disease is not temporary, they explain. My first temporary sponsor lasted 4 years. I've had enough temporary relationships. It's time to learn how to have permanent ones. My treatment center required me to get a sponsor, so I asked the first person I met in a meeting they took me to. Both of us understood the arrangement to be temporary. This is the end of Chapter 2, Part 2. Sponsorship is continued in Chapter 2, Part 3. I'm a recovering addict named Steve. You can download a full PDF version of sponsorship at this address or by following the link in the description below. To purchase a copy of this book, or for free literature and to find a meeting in your area or online, go to na.org. That again is na.org. Please help me to carry the message to the addict who still suffers by liking or commenting on this video and subscribing to this channel. Even more importantly, please share this video with other addicts that we may reach as many as possible. Any feedback or suggestions you might have would be greatly appreciated. I can be reached at onlifestermsvid@gmail.com. Again, that is onlifestermsvid@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, carrying the message, and keeping the promise alive.